Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. For today's video, I thought we could talk about 10 books that I want to read in 2026. So I have some of them actually on my physical TBR, so I will talk about those. But there are also a few that I don't own yet, so I will also talk about them. But yeah, this is just so that I can show you what books are at the top of my radar this year, and also some new releases that I'm excited to read. So yeah, let's just head right in. First of all, let's start with some fantasy books that I want to read. Firstly, we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins, which is the prequel in the Hunger Games series. And I would also like to read the other prequel, the Sunrise on the Reaping. Is that what it's called? I think that's its name. Because I read the Hunger Games series last year and I absolutely loved it, so I would be really interested to dive back into this world and to see the characters again, and also learn some of the backstories of, this is the backstory of the villain, I think, and then also the backstory of one of the other characters from the Hunger Games series. So I think that would be so fun just to dive back into this world. The other physical, fantasy-ish book that I have is Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. We're 2 weeks into 2026, so I already read this one. I just started reading the series, but I still want to continue the series and hopefully finish it, because I heard so many great things about this. My sister is obsessed with it, and so many booktubers that I love also love the series. So I just really want to know what all of the hype is about. And even though this was really, really hyped at the beginning of book talk, I would say 2020 or 2021, something like that, I think, I still want to know why people love this series so much. So yeah, this is definitely very high on my radar, currently reading it, so yeah, very excited about this one. And then I have 2 more books on the fantasy pile that I don't actually own. Firstly, I have Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. This is her new release from last year, so from 2025. And I have read all of her other fantasy series, so the Caraval series and the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I don't know if you could actually see any of that, but they're sitting on my bookshelves. And I was obsessed with those. I loved both of those series, the Caraval and the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, so much. So I'm really excited to read her newest release. And I think that is also going to be a different kind of vibe than her other ones, because those are more whimsical, you have a completely different world. And I think Alchemy of Secrets is actually set in the real world in Hollywood or something, but I'm not completely sure. So I think that will be very interesting. I'm very intrigued to read that, and it's definitely also very high on my radar. Maybe for either the springtime or the fall time. I feel like that could be really fun. But yeah, really, really intrigued by that. And then another book is The Book Witch by Meg Schaefer. I don't know anything about that book really, but I read The Wishing Game a bit over a year ago, and I love that book so much. It holds such a special place in my heart. It was one of the last books I read in 2024, and it was so amazing, and I would be really intrigued to read another book by that author. I haven't picked any up so far, so I think that might be interesting. I don't know what it's about, as I mentioned, but I think that could be really fun. And now I have a pile of literary fiction books that I would like to read, because last year I discovered that I do really enjoy literary fiction books. I mean, I knew that already, but I just read them very rarely because, I don't know, I feel like I still love my romance and my fantasy books very much, so literary fiction is still kind of off my radar sometimes, but I want to change that. And I have 4 books that I really want to read, and also a few more on my shelves that I would like to read if I have the chance. But these are definitely my highest priorities. Firstly, we have The Nightingale by Christian Hannah. This copy is so tiny, I love it. All I know about this is that it's 2 sisters during World War II, I think, and just kind of their story and, everything about that. And so it's a historical fiction, not just literary in general. and I'm really intrigued by this. I know that a lot of people love this book really much, and I feel like I could too, so I'm really intrigued to read this. And I heard that it's supposed to be like really sad and heartfelt and things like that. So yeah, really intrigued by this one, and I guess we'll see when I read it. Next up we have The Ministry of Time by Kaylee Bradley. This is kind of a like mix of genres. I just put it in this pile because I feel like it probably fits the best, but this is a like mix between literary fiction, sci-fi, romance, and all of that kind of stuff. It's like really just a big mix of genres, but I'm really intrigued by that. I think that sounds so cool and interesting, so I would be really intrigued to read this. I know that Haley Pham, one of my favorite booktubers, loves this book very much, so I trust her opinions on that because I have read a lot of books that she likes that I ended up liking. So I'm really intrigued by this, and I feel like it could be so fun and just so interesting, and I feel like the writing would be great in this. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling that the writing in the story would be amazing. So yeah, but maybe that's also why I'm kind of putting off reading some of these books. Like, I had some of these on my TBR last year, but I just put off reading them, probably because I put so high expectations of them in my head that I am scared to read them, if that makes sense. But I feel like this year I can overcome that and finally read these books. Now we have a book that I only got very recently, and that is Wild Dog Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, I'm sorry. But this is, I'm not exactly sure what this is about, but I think it follows a family on a remote island, it says up here. And it is kind of a mystery vibe because a woman washes ashore and nobody ever enters this island or leaves it. So it's kind of a mix between like a literary fiction and a mystery, I would guess. And it seems pretty short, honestly. Like, if you compare any of the other books, it just seems so small for some reason. And I heard that this is just supposed to be so cool and interesting and intriguing, so I feel like that would also be really fun to read. And then the last physical book I have is Bear Town by Fredrik Backman. I also don't know too much about this, but it's also a literary fiction about a like small town in Sweden, I think. And it's like hockey is very big in this town, and it's very snowy and things like that. So yeah, I don't know much more about it, but I think that I could really like Fredrik Backman. I've never read anything by him, but I would be so intrigued to dive into that. It's also a series, so if I love it, I can really dive into that. And now I also have 2 romance books that I would like to read next year. Well, this year. But those are new releases. No, that's not true actually. One of them is a new release, and the other one came out last year as well, I think, but I haven't read it so far. That one is Dream On, Ramona Riley by Ashley Herring Blake. You might know that I discovered Ashley Herring Blake last year. I read 4 of her books last year, and she's really great at writing interconnected standalone series, and Dream On, Ramona Riley is the first part to another interconnected standalone series. And yeah, I just really enjoyed her stories and the way she tells stories, and just the vibe of her books is so amazing. So I'm really intrigued to continue reading her books more, and there's also another book coming out in that series this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like just diving back into a series like that, where you can pick up a book whenever you feel like it, is really fun, and yeah, I just really like that, so I feel like that would be really amazing. The very last book that is on my radar for 2026 is The Last Heartstopper book, volume 6, because I love that series with my entire heart. I reread it like 3 times by now, and watched the show also probably 3 times, and I just absolutely love it. I think it's so amazing. I love the stories and the characters and everything about it. So yeah, I feel like that could also be really fun, and I will definitely buy that as soon as it comes out. I'm so excited, and also very excited to watch the movie that they made to finish up the series, like the TV show. These were all of the books that I want to read in 2026. Well, I mean, I do want to read more books. I have an entire shelf full of books I haven't read yet, and yeah, let's change that this year. but these are the books that are on my radar that I want to read. Like 100%, if I don't read these, I don't know what will happen, but something will. Definitely let me know if you've read any of these or anything about them, like if you love them as well. I would really like to know, maybe to motivate me to read them. And yeah, I think that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching this little books I want to read in 2026 video. If you did, maybe like, comment or subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!